Hey guys, welcome. It's another episode of Tech It Up with Cultura. It's your girl Jayla, and I'm super excited. Of course, we always bring you the most awesome tech founders, all the latest in tech, and then some. But today, I actually have a very energized, good vibe set of powerhouse ladies, which always puts me in a really good mood. And I'm going to introduce you to the ladies of Dreamore, Annemarie, Lydia, and Layla. How are you, ladies?
Great. Happy to be here.
Happy Friday. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you guys on. We were catching up a little bit before we started recording. And you guys are full of energy. You guys are like awesome. So the coffee always helps, right?
Our chief innovation officer is an innovator when it comes to latte.
Oh, I love that. So let's get started with Annemarie, the CEO, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can introduce your team.
Absolutely, with great pleasure. So I'm a little girl from Arkansas. I grew up on 100 acres with one library and one TV station because I am so old, there wasn't even an internet. And I always wonder what it would have been like because I was such a voracious reader and just consumed books, consumed information, anything you can give me. And that has never changed. And so I lived in Israel for a bit and then came to California, and it's very much a California dream story. I came here as a teenager with a college degree, $200 and a place to sleep. Oh, and a brown car. Call it chocolate colored. We're not going to call it the other thing that is brown. So through consistent hard work and relationships and excellent mentors along the way, I'm so grateful because by the time, I launched the first recruiting firm in LA to focus on .coms before anybody knew what that was.
Wow.
And yeah, back in the 90s, yay, Silicon Valley, but LA was very much and still is an entertainment and media town. And so we were like, I don't know, the redheaded stepchild of the Silicon Valley. And yet there is so much about California culture and technology culture and the creative aspects that I just always really loved being in this town and expressing it in the way that we've expressed it. And then over the years, as the investment community and other kinds of technology developed, it's still very different. And yet we've blended in ways on a global level that I really appreciate. So Dreamore is a newer name for this firm that I had launched back in the day, ended up on the Forbes list, had a plane, had property, all these kind of things. And somewhere in that energy, though, there was a fire. So the Woolsey fire came in 2018, and then it came again with the Palisades fire this year. And this double Phoenix energy has really been something that I am grateful for, as painful as it is, because it's a founder story. Failure is only failure if you don't learn something. And any founder who's going to say they're a founder, it's like, look, we get knocked down and we get up again. And it's just who we are and what we do. And so this was a real test this year that Dreamore was already scaling in a certain way. And I was waiting for AI and other technology to mainstream in ways that we knew that we could build something that was meaningful. And along the way, I met my chief innovation officer on New Year's Day this year at the same land that burned 7 days later.
Wow.
Yes. And so everything we've been doing this year has just been this like transformation and fire energy in a very special way. Lydia Thompson, our chief of operations, she's been with me for 2 years now, more than that, running the recruiting firm, running our events and community.
You're stealing my intro.
Yes.
let's take a quick break before you keep going.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to blame coffee. Let these ladies talk. They're amazing.
But let's introduce, we have Lydia Thompson, the Chief of Operations. So Lydia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, good morning. So I guess I'll just, got a little spoiler there, but I was Annemarie's first initial hire when she decided to relaunch her firm. And I was brought on to her through a mutual connector and just our mutual friend, super connector, Damon Annemare. Check him out. He's great. And we just really connected over our mutual the way we wanted to treat people. We just really connected over our values and the way we wanted to treat other humans, and the recognition that at the end of the day, companies are built by people and made for people. And frankly, a little bit of discouragement on my part of feeling like I hadn't had many opportunities to work for companies that shared that value. So, we've been together for 2 years. I'm, like I said, chief of staff, which is a great role for openly neurodivergent people like myself who want to do a little bit of everything. So it is everything from director of recruiting with a little salt and pepper of event planning and community management. And it's just been an interesting journey and a fun journey of getting to do a little bit of everything. And just really, when we brought Lyla on,
She's gone.
it was like our Triforce was made for all our Zelda fans out there, of the right third piece of energy and that third feedback loop. And everything has just really picked up momentum and blossoming since. And, as people in recruiting, we know it's really not about what you're making or what you're doing. It's about who you're doing it with and who you're making it for.
Am I introducing Lyla, or is Lydia introducing Lyla?
I felt like that was a natural segue. I was trying to tee her up.
Ladies and gentlemen,
she gave me
Skovgaard.
she gave me the Triforce. Lyla Skovgaard, short for Delilah. But essentially, I joined this team in a whole different vein when I wanted to do some programmatic, I should say maybe like upgrades. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and program management and project management was where I had my decades of experience, because sometimes we have to do things to make money. And it wasn't a bad bit of my life, but I learned a lot of my programming, actually, ironically, by doing CRISPR when I got my first degree in molecular and cellular biology. And so I learned Python for CRISPR to do the genetic analyses. And lo and behold, later on in life, who knew that Python would be the most important language? And so with AI. And then I was able to use that knowledge along with my desires and the various aspects of working within the gaming industry, and then becoming sort of aware that AI would be able to do the thing that I've always wanted to do. What's the thing? The thing is, when I first went into genetics, I was imagining a way where we can augment ourselves as humans. My desire was always, what's the next step for humans? What is our evolutionary process? And I believed at that time, when I was very young, I was a comic book reader. I was thinking Spider-Man. I'm thinking Berkeley Labs. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to find the next thing for us to sort of be symbiosis with. And it just didn't work that way in the work world. There's a lot of poo-pooing on sort of people that are innovative or creative. Yeah. And so it's more like strict science is very dogmatic and pragmatic, right? And so you're not allowed to really express that unless you get the research scientist status. At any rate, it wasn't the path. And I tried many different things until I met AI, and I was then understanding on a deeper level that this was the augmentation that I was searching for. And I really do believe it is a symbiosis. I really believe that that's our next step for human evolution. It's just not what I thought it was before. But here I am now, and Annemarie has given me the wings that I needed, because that belief in another human being is oftentimes so very lacking in our modern day society, especially for us women in tech. And if you don't look a certain way, you get judged, and you're put in a different category, and that's all there is to it. And unless you've actually had that experience, you don't really know what that means. And so I can tell you from my long life of doing almost everything I can, that it's in every way, shape, and form has been a serious block in my life. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's all we all need is somebody to remove that. And then we can be the person that we were always meant to be.
I feel like we're as women, we like to be contained. People like to contain because we're so unpredictable in the sense of when we really, really want something, we go for it and we'll
Yes.
figure it out one way
Mhm.
or another, whether it's with family, our children, education, betterment of ourselves. And I think,
Tenacity.
yeah, and I think that people and the higher levels of beings are fearful of those things because it's an unknown, it's an uncontrolled factor that, again, uncontrolled, right? Nobody likes to lose their control. And I love the fact that you ladies are very aware of who you are, what your capabilities are, and the fact that you guys are building that community, that tribe, that ecosystem to empower each other, to maximize that potential. Because just having this conversation with you guys, it's like, I feel unstoppable and I know I'm unstoppable, but this is that
Yes.
reassurance that it's like, man, I was second guessing myself for a second. No,
Yes.
and that's a beautiful thing. So how does all of this now translate with Dreamore? Because obviously all of this, they're bits and pieces of all of you guys now. You're building something bigger, you're building something in a space that you guys are basically innovating. So how does that occur, and where did even Dreamore, other than the firm, like what was that launching space of saying, okay, we need to take it that next notch?
I can do this more succinctly as the coffee flows through my system and calms me down. So for a lot of us OG.com era people, my peers in the industry, we were building technology and the internet. We didn't know what it was going to be. And look at us now doing this kind of stuff with the internet. We're at that point with AI. And the reality is that all of this technology has existed for a long time by the time it mainstreams. So again, running it through this human being and culture lens is like, that's the part I've always been fascinated. Like all of a sudden your grandma has an iPad. All of a sudden, people are talking about AI on, every major publication. We still don't know what it is because we still don't agree what human intelligence is. And so we are very much about the reality that, it is the human beings that make this interesting and compelling and relevant. Everything else is just a tool. You can use a fork to eat or stab somebody. So AI has the same kind of a power, but it only has power with people. I'm glad you left. I've never stabbed anybody with a fork, Jayla. Let me be clear.
No. I mean, listen, it's true though. I mean, Ariel used it as a hairbrush.
But we are developing an app where an AI will stab people with forks for
Oh
you.
my goodness.
Listen,
That's going to be the soundbite that goes viral, and now we're in trouble.
Don't put that on me, Lydia. I didn't do that.
So this is the redemption story for those of us who were building technology that has now become this power grab in a lot of ways. And we don't like this as women, as, Black and brown people, as underserved people. This is not why we started in the technology industry back in the 90s. We were creative nerds that just wanted to solve cool problems. Yeah. And here we are with this power grab that's kind of scary, but also AI is very different from software. It is a system that learns, and it is so important for us to have our voices heard and have this learn, and we learn together. And that is very much people like me. We're like, we could retire and go live on an island and just like have a chill life, but we can't, because this is the closest thing to activism that I've had. I don't carry signs, but we know how to find people. So the backstory of relaunching the recruiting company was all of these past clients of mine said, could you please launch your recruiting company again so we can do business together? And that's when I hired Lydia, and we said, okay, off to the races. So layoffs continued. Hiring is so fundamentally broken. And so for the last 2 years, it's like, I can pretend to be the same kind of recruiting firm that I was, that got us in Forbes, that built all of these venture-backed startups and turned them into unicorns. But it is different, and it is not going back to how it was before. So for the first time in 30 years, I went, let me take all of these lessons of 30 years and observing how these companies grow. And for the first time in 30 years, let's productize and create something. I found Lyla. We've been hashing it out. Lydia's been running the show and making sure the company stays running, and teasing all of this out was like, I'll be darned if we build yet another recruiting tool that slaps on top of old systems and old ways of thinking. That's not what we're about. And this whole year has been like, nope, it's Dreamore. And also there is a transformation with the future of work happening. And we need to go global and then figure out how to do this in a way that makes sense. Because at our core, we have a certain kind of integrity and drive. And I don't want to be like the .com era and like, frankly, a lot of companies that we see that are doing a money grab and they're building things that are going to be outdated as soon as they fully launch. So that is everything that's informing what we're doing now, which is very special and still embracing what we've been for 30 years as a targeted search recruiting firm, putting people together and growing business.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. I want to dip into some of the tech if you want, if that's what you're desirous of. So, I mean, I've heard, you know, you're not new to this put on the nerd glasses. I heard you're not new to this space. So, let me know. But essentially in a world sort of where current stage of, like Annemarie saying, tool development, I wanted to develop something that was not going to be just another tool in a shed that Google would then absorb. I mean, there's a lot of people thinking that they're going to compete with big tech. And I think that's kind of silly. If you look at the history of how technology works and how the larger companies work, all of these people developing these tools that are highly useful, they're really just doing essentially the legwork for people like Google or Apple, because what's end up going to happening is they're testing the market. Google's like, great, thank you for doing all this work for me. I'm going to see what works, what doesn't work. They're sitting back patiently, very intelligent. They're not sweating. They have, obviously, if anyone's misinformed in their mind, thinking that they don't have a more advanced form of the AIs that we're utilizing, it's kind of silly. And so if you don't know that, then I don't even know what you're doing in this space.
Yeah.
And so
I'm like, to your point really quick. I tell people that, especially here in South Florida, you know, you guys are kind of living, you know, in LA and California, I think a little bit closer to live than where we are here in South Florida. And I keep telling everybody, we're not even scraping the surface of AI. You guys are still having a conversation and think that tech is IT. Like the fact where AI is and where we are, we're going, that's not, you guys won't see what's actually in the now for at least another 5 in Florida, 5 years.
Really, China and India aren't just sitting still. I mean, there's some really interesting stuff going on globally.
So the
Sorry, I
point
got
with this
kicked out.
No worries. So the point with this is that all of that work that's being done by these startup companies that people are funding and all that's happening, they're all going to get essentially broken down when Google, Anthropic, whatever, all the big dogs come in and they're like, oh, thank you for all that work. And now we're going to actually drop the thing that does work with the brand name that's trusted and known and that everybody loves. Cha-ching. And then, you know, we will take all the lessons learned from your failures and your successes, and they will actually release something. So it's not smart. Don't fund people making tools. Don't fund people. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I'm not. Because everyone now can make an app.
And men are allowed to give financial advice. Why not you?
And, you know, I'm just saying, it's like, you're not, the market's going to be flooded with all these people who think that they have made an innovative product. And it's like, there's going to be a lot of this disillusion happening and confusion until it kind of settles out. That's not what we're doing. I was like, I'm not going to compete with big tech. That's just silly. I'm going to be smarter. We're going to make something that's going to work right alongside, and something that is an absolute necessity, without like spilling the beans. We're essentially working with the environment in many different ways, not just our environment, because that's a big concern. I've been in sustainability my whole career. It is one, other than social equity. My biggest passion is sustainability. And so with the amount that people are utilizing, I don't think people are focusing. They're complaining about Tesla batteries, and they're not noticing that each chat takes a bottle of water, you know, to do. So, and it's getting worse with the models being more intense. And now with perpetual memory, which is not true perpetual memory, it's just keyword search. I could go into that for days. But even with that, that's having now to then, it's going to be searching through all these conversations you've had to find some sort of possible connection, which is just nonsense. And then it's going to use even more resources to do that. the compute power to do that is so much more intense. And how much more water are we utilizing to ask freaking GPT what brand of hairspray I should use? Is that appropriate? I mean, there's a lot of questions and a lot of issues that we need to address before they make these decisions for us. What we are more concerned about is, as we are communicating with these AI, with these LLMs, they're gathering data. Do not be mistaken. They're sitting here gathering the most pure and raw data, and data is power. That's how the government, that's how all the companies are informed and can make inferences, statistical inferences. AI is just a massive statistical machine, and I love stats, but they're running this massive game, and we need to take the power back, as women, as BIPOC, as, we know this oppression. We know what it's like to have power out of our hands, and we're not going to let this happen again. I'm not going to let them take that control. At least I'm going to do the best I can. So
that's kind of what you're saying, and humanize it even further.
Please.
When the information era started, and I was in my 20s, and I remember my knee-jerk reaction was like, what do I need all this information for? Like, I didn't understand it. And so when we're talking about these themes and concepts right now, there's still so much of mainstream that doesn't understand AI, thinks they need to be technical to be involved in AI, and all of the fear mongering, and on top of, oh, well, I'm not a white guy in the Silicon Valley. So, that was how I felt in my 20s. I'm just a girl and the VCs don't want to talk to me. And I've had a great life, but I just accepted that as a universal truth and then navigated my life differently. And it doesn't have to be that way, but that is the significance when we are talking about, we need to get our voices heard and we need to take our power back. This isn't a competitive, swords and battle guns kind of energy. It's really just, we have a voice that matters, and we're building a platform and participating in a way that levels the playing field. I spent 4 months talking to university professors, experts in AI, Google executives. I talked to anybody that would talk to me about AI and the future of work because I wanted to learn. And what I concluded from all of that, there's a lot of smart people with good hearts. There's a lot of nefarious creatures, but nobody knew anything, if I'm going to exaggerate for effect.
Yeah.
And so if the playing field is level, because we don't really know yet, and a lot of people are pretending that they know, well, great. That means anybody can jump in. And we are so passionate and so intelligent, as demonstrated with our Chief Innovation Officer, that we're creating mechanisms that make it accessible to anybody. Our entry point, you just talk. That's it. Just talk. And everybody could talk for the most part. And you don't even have to be structured. You don't have to understand it. And in talking, just like with therapy, you will get to know yourself better. You will open up pathways, and then our technology can help that. And the end game here is like, we're not going to compete against big technology to be big technology, but on an individual level, we can be the best human that we are. And nobody compete against Jayla being Jayla, Lydia being Lydia. And so they're like, how empowering is that? Like, all I got to do is be the best version of me.
So where is and what stage is Dreamore right this second?
Well, I have a fully operating piece of software. It's not a demo. It's not an idea. It's been developed for several months now. Okay. And all I do is essentially watch as other people are, by specifically like Anthropic or OpenAI are trying to do some of the same things that I'm doing, but I mean, I've already done it and in a different way. I'm not I'm not competing, but we're not competing. But yeah, we are right now ready to, there's a whole infrastructure. It's not just one piece of software. It's an ecosystem that functions it entirely together, but it can also function separately as well. So it's not a requirement, but there is an entire ecosystem that gets built out. We're looking right now for people, like-minded individuals, to see if anyone else wants to join in on what we're all creating.
We have hundreds, if not thousands of people that are lined up, that are businesses that are looking to grow, hire, or retain the people that they have as employees. And we have career level job seekers and executive leadership that as soon as we push the button and go live, we're going to have an ecosystem that is already building and scaling. So we're very excited about that.
That's amazing, because it's life-changing. This is possibly very, very life-changing for a lot of people. And it's given one of the things that I feel sometimes there's a huge lack of, especially for underrepresented, minorities,
Yes.
women, so many communities, which are options and opportunities. I think that people are so stuck in that world of being told, what to do, where to go, what it's life's supposed to look like, that stepping out of that comfort zone is almost impossible for some people, because they don't know where to go. They don't have, like, I can't say that I had the opportunity to have mentors like that. I didn't have, I had to break down the doors, go into radio blindly, and like fall on my face and scrape my knees and break bones and cry about it, but now there's a layout that I have that I know I can provide for the people I want to help and my daughter and their futures.
We're in scary times right now as well, that, everybody's trying to go back to normal. So this fear mongering and this uncertainty in the world with economics and politics and everything has really been a challenge for entry level. Our social media manager is still in university, and her fellow graduates are having a hard time finding a job. And then at the other end of the spectrum, people in my peer group that have been my six-figure clients and very powerful executives, some of them have been unemployed for 14 months at a time or laid off 3 times in 2 years. And so this informs between career development, hiring, employee retention, and bespoke upskilling, so that we are able to help people develop careers for the future of work in a way that hasn't been done before. That's a lot of problems to get our arms around, but we've figured it out, and we're very excited to help our world in a way that's profound.
Lydia, I know you had.
I'm itching. I am itching to talk about.
Go for it.
Well, Jayla, you kind of hit the button on what I'm most excited about with this product, and what really just energized me when I first met Lyla earlier this year, and what we connected on about the lack of education, the lack of direction, and how people don't understand how to create opportunity for themselves. And colleges aren't helping you, like your high school counselors aren't helping you. There's no real good system, and it absolutely can exist and needs to exist now, that helps people understand their aptitudes and their preferences and their skills, and what the options for careers and, actual sustainable wealth, like what their aptitudes can actually offer them. And that is what I'm most excited about for what Lyla can build and has built.
That's amazing. I have the chills just talking about it, because I can feel it. I can feel the want of change, the want of growth, the want to expand this. And I think that passion is such an incredible force that takes things to such a higher level, because you're in it 100%. You're not, like they say, half-assing it, or just saying, hey, I need to do this for money, which is kind of like the world that we're living in right now, right? It's all for fame, for money, for clout, and to have this genuine fulfillment of, I'm creating true change that's going to last, that's not temporary, it's not a phase, is so incredible. And I commend you, ladies, because I know it's not easy. And I know that we live in a world where a lot of these things are kind of like, and they're like, kind of like, keep that to yourself, don't make a big fuss. And that's what we need to do, is make a big fuss.
We need to make. And Jayla, we're not delusional here. It's not like, look what we did. Look what. No, I mean, in the sense of like, this really, if we're gonna talk straight talk, it needs to be a complete joining. Like, we need to join together to make this happen, because we're talking about what we're discussing right now. I mean, it's not surfacey, but it's not all the way deep, right? We could get really deep about it. Yeah. And what we're talking about is going to require everyone getting on board. It's a movement. It's going to need to be a movement, because at this point, and it's the perfect time. It's a perfect time to restructure how we look at work and what that means for us all. How many hours, how much responsibility, what does work really mean? What does work mean now and in the future? What does education look like for us and our children? I know how you feel, right? And where does our happiness reside within all of this? Because that's what sustainability is. Any human being can do anything for a certain amount of time, but to sustain it, to really bring out the most creative juice. And that's what I don't care what anyone says, all humans are creative. We are all creative. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to remember and go back to. We are not robots. Let the robots do the robot thing and let the humans do the human thing. Annemarie likes to say this. And we need to remember who we are. We need to go back to that. Who are we really? Take a moment, take a step back. This is a great opportunity with everything fluxing all over the place, right? Yeah. The socio-political issues. I mean, everything's fluxing. The world is fluxing. And where do we stand? This is a moment. This is one of those moments in time that we have a choice. Like a path diverges in the woods, you know, which path are you going to take? And I think this is that moment. We need to, as a society, decide. And I think that women in this particular, if I may say, are particularly poised because we are the nurturers, the creators, not just supplement is not a good word. It's the whole is what we create. Yeah. And that's why we are perfectly poised for this evolution, a revolution of what we need to be doing next. I think this is where we belong in this particular decision-making divergence.
I think we need to take this on tour.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we need to take this on tour. I'm going to sign up for
I'm going to make some beignets, you know.
Thanks to Lydia, we throw a good party. Trust me.
It's true. We do host a lot of events in the virtual space. There actually are opportunities to experience this energy firsthand. So.
Well, I want to be all parts of it. And I know, unfortunately, we are running out of time. So I guess I have two last questions. One, where do we see, obviously I can see it, but I want to hear it, the future in the next year to 5 years of Dreamore?
Oh gosh.
I've been talking so much. I don't want to take this on if somebody else.
No, go for it, Annemarie. That's you.
My KPMG finance roots. It's like, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So we are scaling this. We're rolling it out in California and the United States and going global. So we see the future of work, that the nature of careers and businesses and jobs is going to be so transformed that it's like imagining a car when you're still driving a horse and buggy. So that's not scary. That's the opportunity. To the extent that the tools can truly take away these mundane tasks. 40 years ago, this didn't exist, and this is not your purpose in life. And so if I have any impact on people's ability to look at each other and connect authentically and be able to facilitate technology and mindset in a way that we're getting back to being authentically human and finding our purpose as people, I'm thrilled.
Love it. Lydia?
I think, we touched on it briefly. I'm really excited about the way that I hope this actually will long-term affect the environment and reverse some of the repercussions of that. I mean, I got kicked off this podcast because California is in a heat wave and my neighborhood is having rolling brownouts. So for people to just, continue to ignore this problem is insane to me when it's literally in our faces all the time, especially with the fires that we had here in the Palisades earlier this year. And, as the world becomes more global and things become more digital, I think there's a real opportunity to nurture our local communities more. Not get in our cars as much to just go to an office for arbitrary reasons, but, get in our car and take public transportation to meet with our local team in intentional ways. And, I really hope that more people adapt when we can reveal more of the systems that we're using to positively impact our environment. So,
and last but not least, Lyla.
So what I envision is a future to where people have full control over their information and how they approach the work world. I want to hear people say that they're having a great day nearly more often than having a bad day. I want mothers to be able to take care of their own children and still be able to provide for themselves and those children without being oppressed in any sort of way. I want people of all origins to have the equal opportunity and everyone being empowered and nobody having anything to really the basic needs want for. I don't want to, the future that I'm going to force and push and hopefully with everyone here make happen is a future not there of lacking, but finally in of creating that happiness index that we ought to be able to do by now.
Yeah.
And that's a shifting, a reappropriation of where the money, energy, and power is going from an external back to an internal and supporting the society, which would then open up and support globally. It's going to be that kind of movement, and that's what I envision. And I know it can happen if we can do it together.
Absolutely. I love it. Ladies, how can we get in contact with you? What is the best way to get in contact with you in case we have any VC supporters, people that love and resonate with your story that might want to work alongside your mission? What is the best way?
Email is the best way. Our website is also a great way to kind of keep up in tabs with what we're doing. We're going to be releasing a couple of new pages that's going to finally sort of tease out what we are doing, because obviously we've danced around it here. But essentially keep up with us over at Dreamore and dreamore.io. And we're going to be launching a few things by next week. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And Dreamore is one N, Dreamore. The Easter egg is amore, for love.
I love it.
Not to be too woo-woo, but it really is intentional that if we don't have soul, we have nothing. But we also have great technology.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know you all are very busy, and I look forward to seeing what more is to come. Of course, I will be here with doors wide open, waiting so I can help with the premiere, the launch, the news, the updates, and everything that has to do with Dream More and More.
Thank you so much. You're a gracious host.
Thank you guys for being here.
Bye.
Guys, that was another episode of Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura. It's your girl, Jayla. Until next time. Bye.